Evan McMullin, independent candidate for president. Evan, it's nice to have you back on the program.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
So a lot of big news over the last 72 hours, and I'd like to get your thoughts on the FBI investigation that includes a look at Hillary Clinton's handling of classified information. What's your reaction to that news, and how do you think it impacts you in the state of Utah?
Well, my bigger reaction is just that this is nothing new. So what are we going to find out? That Hillary Clinton is extremely corrupt? We know that. So I just don't see this as anything new, just like I didn't think it was anything new when we had that Donald Trump tape leak about him talking about sexually assaulting women. Look, I mean, we know that this is the kind of person Donald Trump is. We know that this is the kind of person Hillary Clinton is. We have a crisis of leadership in this country. We need to snap out of it and not consider ourselves beholden to either one of these two parties. If they were offering good leaders, good, honest leaders who would respect our Constitution, then fine. Unfortunately, they are not. And we need better leadership. Unfortunately, these two parties, I think, have drifted away from serving the American people well, and we're building a new conservative movement that I think this country needs.
Speaking of the party, some Republicans are not happy that you have entered the race, specifically in the state of Utah, because they see that your success there, at least in some of the polls that we're looking at. Mr. Trump was asked about your role in the state of Utah by our Brett Baer. Here's what he had to say.
Can't do anything, but he hurts us in Utah. So let's say we don't win Utah, Hillary does, or anybody. That could have a devastating effect on the election. There's no reason for it. Because if for no other reason, we are picking Supreme Court justices. Forget about everything else. If the incredible people of Utah, they're incredible people, if they go enough for this character that's running all over the state, and we lose the state of Utah, that's devastating. Because that means we're probably going to lose the Supreme Court of the United States for 60 years. By that time, it won't matter, because at the end of 60 years, we won't have a country left.
Evan, what's your response?
Well, first of all, he's losing Utah, the reddest state of all, because he is a weak leader, because he is not a real conservative, because he's hardly a real Republican. You can only blame yourself if you're in Donald Trump's position with hundreds of millions of dollars and a party at his disposal and still losing Utah. The polls say that we're either tied, the most recent ones were either tied or leading. I mean, this is on him. He could win Utah if he were a real conservative. The problem is that he has a lifelong record of being pro-late-term abortion, against the Second Amendment, wants to expand the size of government, doesn't know the first thing about our Constitution, doesn't want to respect it. He's run a bigoted, sexist campaign. That's why he's losing here. It's not because of me. As they point out later in that interview, Mike Pence and Donald Trump, I'm a nobody, as they say. Well, I'm proud to be a nobody. This isn't about me. This is about the principles that this country was founded upon. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what Mindy Finn, my running mate, is fighting for. And that's what our supporters are fighting for. And for him to refer to them as nobodies, they say nobody knows who Evan McMullin is. Well, there's somebody, and they're the people of Utah, and there are people across the country who are supporting us. And I think Donald Trump needs to own that and make some changes in his own campaign and with himself personally if he hopes to compete.
So a lot
and Jenna, I would say one thing about the Supreme Court.
Yes.
How on earth can we trust Donald Trump with the Supreme Court? This is a man who has supported partial birth abortions. This is a man who said his sister, who's a huge pro-choice liberal, would make a phenomenal justice. I mean, he's flip-flopped on every issue. He's been a lifelong New York liberal. How on earth, why on earth would we ever trust him to make good appointments to the Supreme Court? We can't. We have two big government liberals running for office from the two major parties. That's why we've stepped into this race.
Well, we're certainly glad to have your response, your official response to Donald Trump. I'd like you now to respond to our viewers who often have a very strong reaction to your appearance on our program, as you've been able to join us before. And I'm just going to paraphrase, because this is the only way for me to really connect with my viewers is through social media, Evan. And they'll say,
sure,
you know, what he's saying about the conservative movement really resonates with me. But what he's doing practically to the race will help Hillary Clinton. What do you say to that viewer out there that's listening to you, liking you, but says practically this will damage the pursuit to get somebody into the White House other than Hillary Clinton?
Well, first of all, I view both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump as big government New York liberals, period. But even if you take the position that Donald Trump is somehow different, which I don't think he is, look, the polls show that either Hillary Clinton is going to win this in a landslide or it will be a close race. If Hillary Clinton is going to win this in a landslide because Donald Trump is such a weak Republican candidate, then we need to send a message to Washington that we're no longer going to stand for these kinds of nominees from the Republican Party as conservatives. So in that case, I'm making the case that people should vote for me. Again, if it's a Hillary Clinton landslide, which it looks like it's going to be, they should vote for me. So we send that message. If not, if the race tightens, which it may, it looks like it may be now, if the race tightens, then we can block them both by winning a state or two or three. And so in that case, I'm again saying vote for us, vote for me, so that we can have a chance to block them both and get a better leader into the White House is what it comes down to. But it's going to be one of those two scenarios, Hillary Clinton in a landslide or a very, very close race, which would allow them to block, which would allow us to block them. In either case, I'm hoping that people will vote for me and give us that chance.
And in that case, you could be a real major player. Interesting column written about you in the Washington Post. I don't have time to get to it today, but Evan, I'd like to have you back on the program to talk about how some of your past experience in the CIA could apply to some other areas outside in the intelligence sector, outside of the security sector. So we look forward to having you back on the program, Evan, and we appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
Thank you.